サウスカロライナのクレムソン市にあるクレムソン大学の竹内 J と申します。よろしくお願いします。So in my case, I grew up hearing Italian. I grew up in the United States, but I grew up hearing Italian, and I studied French and Spanish and also American Sign Language at different parts early on in my college career. So European languages were very familiar to me. But I loved learning languages. So at some point I got interested in martial arts, and I was doing Aikido, and the main instructor didn't speak very much English. He sort of used a little bit of English, but while he was teaching, he would use a lot of Japanese and one or two English words. So my original reason for studying Japanese was very sort of casual, like, wouldn't it be great if I could speak to my Aikido teacher in Japanese? And if I could hear those things he's saying, where he's saying one word in English, but, you know, a super long sentence in Japanese. So that was the beginning of my interest in Japanese. And I originally planned to just take, I think it was a 10-week summer course and be done with it. And of course, that I wasn't done with it. I fell in love with Japanese, and I ended up changing my major and going to Japan. And of course, now I'm working as a Japanese teacher. So that one sort of casual thought really changed my life completely. I don't now practice martial arts anymore, but when I went to Japan, I was still, the first time I went to Japan, I was still practicing Aikido, and I joined a dojo, and that's where I met my husband. And so in many ways, you could say I'm still very connected to that, because that's how I met my husband. So I don't physically practice Aikido, but it's very much part of my life. Oh gosh, yeah, I mean, many, so I've now been using Japanese for maybe 30 years. So it's, at this point, Japanese is just sort of the language of my everyday life. But certainly there would be times when I realized I'm doing something with this language that I could not do if I didn't have this language. So when I lived in Japan, getting to join a club in my town, or I learned taiko for a while. And I also had lots of interesting experiences of meeting somebody and then meeting their family and getting to talk with them about their history and that sort of thing. So I think really what Japanese has been for me is a tool that I use to make my life more rich and full. In my case, I think I very much enjoyed learning new vocabulary and learning grammar and those kinds of, I think it's very easy to have a set of vocabulary, and say you want to read a newspaper article and it's about a particular topic, and you learn that vocab list as a big chunk. But it's still very discrete and kind of easy to do. Early on, I felt like what was more difficult were things that were maybe a little bit more subtle, like pronunciation. And how does pronunciation change when the context of the sentence changes? So if you take a word out of its context and just pronounce that word on its own, you might feel like you can say it. But in the context of a sentence, are you saying it the right way? And so as a beginning Japanese learner, pronunciation was a challenge for me. And later, as a graduate student, after living in Japan, I returned to the US and I went to graduate school. And as a graduate student, phonetics and phonology and prosody, those topics were not my favorite. It was very intense. I think any PhD program probably is. A lot, you're dealing with a lot of information, and you're hoping to kind of not just be able to regurgitate it, but use it to do something. And so it was definitely a fulfilling experience. And I certainly learned a lot that I now put into practice in my job here at Clemson University. 今はコロナウイルスのせいで日本に行ったり、実際に人に会ったり日本語を使うことが困難、もうほとんどできないですね。旅行ができないので、じゃあ日本語を今以上勉強できないという悩みを持っている学生がいると思いますが、せっかくインターネットがあるのでインターネットで探して日本語を勉強している友達を作ったり、日本人で英語を勉強している友達を作ったり、たくさん日本語を使ってみてください。そして例えば間違ってもそれを気にしないで堂々と日本語を使って自分のものにしてみてください。